Baseball history. How's everybody doing tonight? Yeah, thank you for joining. And I know people just bounce in because, well, I never really have a set time, but you can usually count on me maybe to come in around this time to have this conversation with you about baseball. And so, anyway, just want to thank everybody for joining. And I always have to give this little comment that if you like what I'm doing here, by all means, go ahead and subscribe. So, again, this is Phil Dixon, and I'm a baseball historian with over 46 years of doing this history on Black baseball. And hey, you never know where I'm going to take you. We used to have, we start off with this day in Black baseball history, but it makes me think about things that I've experienced, people I've known, places I've been, and just over my lifetime. And so you never know what I'm going to talk about. And sometimes I don't know what I'm going to talk about. That's how crazy it can be. But these little tidbits of information that occurred on this day and somewhere through the ages is the thing that motivates me to think about other things. So sometimes I don't always have all the words correctly and everything, but I'm just talking off the cuff, and as it comes to me, I just begin to talk. So anyway, I do want to thank you for joining. I'm going to try to keep it down to about 20 minutes. Somebody says, hey, I finally caught you live. Thank you very much. And still checking in from Steel Country, Kentucky, 30 miles of Lexington. Right, okay. Well, you know what? I haven't been in Kentucky in a while. Years ago, they were trying to put a museum, Negro Leagues Museum, down in Ashland, Kentucky. And I went down there in 1983 to see what they had. And I came back to Kansas City and I told Buck O'Neill, told a few other people, Horace Peterson, and whoever would listen. I said, you know what? There's only two places, or maybe three places that I think that should have a Black baseball museum. And believe me, Ashland, Kentucky wasn't one of those places. I thought it would either be Kansas City, Chicago, or New York. And since I lived in Kansas City, guess where that museum is today? All right. Yeah, I had a whole lot to do with that museum being here in Kansas City because if you go back and you look through the ages and you start to see when I really got busy on this thing, you can go back to 1980. There's not a museum here in Kansas City until I think we incorporated that in 1990. So yeah, but okay, I'm glad you caught me though. I appreciate that, and hopefully we'll get something that comes right down your road today, related to some of these facts I have in baseball. All right. So let's see. I'm trying to think where I want to start. Well, let me start here. Yesterday, I was giving some information on a guy named Homer Hop Bartlett. Bartlett. Let me see if I can find here. Homer Hop Bartlett. And guys, I have all these files that I have that I've kept for over 40 years, and they're loaded with things that you will not find anywhere else. And so I just noticed that a relative of Hop Bartley jumped onto the Negro League site there, and that's this site there that Will runs that site, and I don't know why I keep forgetting Will's last name. Sorry about that, Will. But sometimes I just go blank on your last name. I got Bob Poet's name. They've been really good supporters. So anyway, but yeah, Will post a lot of things on that Negro League baseball site, and evidently one of Homer Hop Bartlett relatives jumped on there. So I sent him some personal email because years ago I went to Centralia, Missouri. Guys, I may be the only historian that ever went to Centralia, Missouri looking for baseball players. And I was trying to find information on Homer Hop Bartlett, and he had passed away just before I got there. And so anyway, I was looking through some of these notes, and I sent the person back who was a relative of some people that I talked to, and I spent a lot of time, believe it or not, with the guy at the local funeral home. And I even have his card. I still have his card here, guys. This is from, I don't even know if he's still alive. The name of the funeral home was the Meter and Sons Funeral Home, and the guy, his name was Bill Meter. And he was the one who helped me quite a bit to round up people. And of course, being the local funeral home, he had all the records. He could just go and then pull them and just give me all kind of information. And of course, Hop Bartlett was born February the 29th, 1900 in Centralia, Missouri, and he was James Homer Bartley Jr. Bartlett. And if you go online, sometimes you'll see that they have him as Bartlett and as Bartley, but I have it as Bartley. All right, and he died May the 22nd in Columbia, Missouri, at the local hospital. Once again, I mentioned that if you live in Centralia, the big hospital is going to be Columbia, so you got to go over there. And so, same thing happened to Bill Gatewood. He died in Moberly, Missouri, but actually he lived in Moberly, Missouri, but died in Columbia, Missouri, because he's at the main hospital, right? And so, anyway, I just pulled this out, and I'm going to make sure that the Bartley person gets a chance to hear that. And then I'm trying to think here. I have something here. I even had the guy even gave me his mother's name, Hattie Bartley, and father's name was James H. Bartley, and they preceded him in death. And so, and then of course Bartley was a deacon at Mount Olive Baptist Church. So you get all this kind of stuff from going to the town. And I'm tell you what, not enough historians are doing that anymore because they sit in their comfortable chair and they don't go out anywhere, especially in these small towns. And they're sure in the heck ain't coming to some of these black communities because they're scared to come in these black communities. They won't come. So, but guys, I grew up in these communities, and hey, and back in the 80s, I used to go to Chicago on the South Side. And man, I would sit out there on the car with Double Duty Ratcliffe. He lived down at that time in the projects. And I would go up and sit down and talk to Double Duty, and we'd have a good time. So these are just some of the things that have happened through the ages, guys. And I do have one other one. This is a file I have on a guy by the name of Julian Bale. Since I pulled Bartley, I said, let me pull Bale because people may find this interesting. Bale, he actually played for the St. Louis he played for Detroit Stars way back. And so I have a number of letters and even a bio that I wrote on him that I never published. And he was born May 30th, 1904. Yeah, think about it, guys. I was interviewing 1980 people who were born at the turn of the century, and some of them born in the 1800s. But one thing I think you'll find interesting, this is a picture of him that I've never published, him pitching with Detroit, and he's wearing his Detroit Stars uniform. Never have released that picture. And then I have other pictures of him later that he sent me. There's one there, and he was involved with Tennessee A&I, Knox College, just different ones. Here's another one. So he sent me a series of snapshots and things like that, and I have not ever used this information. And so I'm hoping that something will come up this year and I'll get a chance to just give you all this information. Okay, so you ready for some This Day in Black Baseball History? So let's go to, well, first of all, let me say this. This is my March 3rd, 2026 edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. So let's go and see what happened through the ages. All right, so here we go. March 3rd, 1904, an advertisement in the Omaha Daily Bee noted wanted colored baseball players who are musicians to play on a ball team and in a band. Man, I think I would have signed up for that when I was in my 20s. And the season starts May 1st to September 15th, 1904. We'll pay good salaries to good men. Inquire with the manager at Box 102 in Esterville, Iowa. Man, I'm thinking that this is this is going to be the Tennessee Rats, but I'm going to have to check further because the Tennessee Rats, I know they operated out of Holden, Missouri. Not sure about where this Esterville, Iowa came from. So I'm going to check that a little further. Hey, and feel free to check it if you want to get back with me. Hey, that's all right too, okay? Hey, and I see somebody, the Dodger Dogs. Hey, I got a Dodger factor coming up too. Okay, let's go to March the 3rd, 1906. According to the Brooklyn Citizen newspaper, WS, that's Bill Monroe, who has been one of the mainstays and principal attractions of the champion Philadelphia Giants for the last two seasons, is without a doubt the peer of any colored shortstop and third baseman in the world. Now, you know what that means, don't you? he was probably the peer of all third basemen anywhere, right? Not just they kind of narrowed him down to just like black teams, right? But Bill Monroe was outstanding. He's one of my favorite players, Bill Monroe. He passed away, unfortunately, around 1914 from tuberculosis. But this guy was just a superb player, and everybody loved this guy. He was like the Deion Sanders of his day. And so anyway, they were talking about Bill Monroe, and they said that, and if it were not for it, the fact that he is black, he would in fact be a big leaguer, and he had would have crossed the color line, and his services undoubtedly would be sought after by all teams, not just one team, all teams. That's how good he was. And it says last season Monroe batted .375, and his playing helped the Philadelphians in winning the championship of independent clubs. Yeah, they had a great team, and I am working right now on my reprint of my 1905 Philadelphia Giants book, and I have got a treat for you guys. I just have to sit down and finish it off, right? So I've been kind of slow behind that, but the publisher is ready for it, and so I'm going to probably get that to them probably by the end of March. That's my goal. All right, so want to make sure it's here for All-Star break. All right, and they said that he has been in his old position of shortstop in Palm Beach, Florida, for the last 2 months. Now, most people will look at him in 1905. He played third base because the Philadelphia Giants had hired Grant Home Run Johnson to play shortstop. But Bill Monroe could play either. And then when Johnson got injured, Bill Monroe became one of the regular shortstops, right? So Bill Monroe was just a superb player. Don't know if you know about him, but I would tell you this. The fact that this guy is not in the Hall of Fame is just a damn shame. This guy was outstanding, man. You know what? Sometimes it seems like you're saying this over and over and over again about different players, but this is no exaggeration on Bill Monroe. I'm serious. I can't be more serious than this, guys. Bill Monroe is a player that I respect and love very much. He is buried in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I had a guy who was traveling the country, and he happened to be in Chattanooga. And so I said, hey, go by the cemetery. I gave him the cemetery name, and tell me what you find. So he went by the cemetery and was able to take a picture of Bill Monroe's monument. It's not a large monument, but it is definitely a monument there. And that's in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I hope to get down there one day and put some flowers by this man's grave, and maybe we'll have a chat, right? All right, so that's Bill Monroe. And they thought he was coming back to the Philadelphia Giants. He did come there for about 2 weeks. Then he jumped and went to the Philadelphia Quaker Giants, a new team. And actually, Ruth Foster jumped too and went with Bill Monroe. Interesting thing, are you ready for this? You know the McMahon brothers, McMahon, the famous wrestling promoter. Well, his grandfather was the one who was bankrolling the Philadelphia Quaker Giants, right? And him and his brother were. And so anyway, when you see the wrestling guy, matter of fact, I just saw recently where he was speeding over 100 miles per hour. I think that was Vince McMahon. And so anyway, just know that his grandfather was involved with African-American teams as well as boxing, okay? And wrestling later on too, all right? So let's go to one more. March 3rd, 1914, Ruth Foster. Now, did you know that Ruth Foster tried his hand at acting? Yeah, okay, you ready for this one? Ruth Foster opened his theatrical career in Cleveland, Ohio, it says. Now, I've been really trying to dig deeper into this because I know certain people did try to have theatrical careers that they could do in the off season. And so it said Ruth Foster opened his theatrical career in Cleveland, Ohio, and attempted to show how he won an exhibition from the Chicago White Sox. I don't know if he ever won an exhibition from the White Sox. I know he almost beat the Chicago Cubs. That was in 1909. And he said how he won this exhibition by a slide. And he ended up falling into the music pit and put the entire orchestra out of business. And this was reported in the Star Phoenix newspaper. And said the instruments that were not broken could not be played because the musicians who played them had to be carried out as they laughed into hysterics. You can just imagine someone falling in the, trying to, just imagine that. It said the audience fell on the floor. So there, I guess everybody's laughing, and said they would freely pay if as they were leaving the house is because they were well satisfied at what they had seen. So I'm trying to check this one a little further. Ruth Foster's theatrical career gone bad. I want to know more about this and see if this is true, right? Because people will write a lot of things, and when you put them to observation, they're not true. And I'll give you one. It used to be years ago, I would spend my summer trying to see if some of these remarkable feats were true. And so I had heard for years that Josh Gibson hit 71, 72 home runs in 1931. So I put it to the test. And so all that summer, I collected every box score I could get. And turns out that he had 40 home runs. And I had just basically every box score you could find. And out of that book came, first of all, it became me talking about how great this team was. And I think that they were the most outstanding baseball team ever to that point. And I would put them up against any of those Cubs teams, John McGraw's teams, any of those Yankee teams up before 1930, even the 27 Yankees. I would put them, they were so powerful. And so I wrote an entire book, but it started out with me trying to see if Josh Gibson really hit 72 home runs. And I can tell you, he did not. And so that information, if you Google it, they'll still have it out there, but it's not correct. And so I've proven that. And of course, you can get my book on the 1931 Homestead Grace. And right now, Sabre is trying to make a remake of that. Matter of fact, they want me to do a foreword, and they've taken my research and they're trying to bring it into the format like they like it. But that, I don't always like what they like. All right. So I'm just trying to tell you. So anyway, I told them I would give a foreword, but I want to see what you wrote first. All right. Before I do any foreword. So I've got to get busy on that because that book is going to come. But it started out me just trying to debunk things. And so I'm trying to see, once again, did Ruth Foster really have a theatrical career, or was this just something somebody wrote? All right. So anyway, but if he did try to have a theatrical career and he fell into the bandstand, man, that's quite the story right there. And as a musician, I can just imagine. Well, I played trumpet, and we would play night spots. And I remember one night we were playing. It was like a converted bowling alley. So as you got closer to the stage, you had this overhang. Like you go into the bowling alley, so it kind of goes down as you get closer to where the pins used to be stacked. So we're playing there. It's a converted bowling alley, and a lady was dancing along, and so she had a wig on, and her wig got caught on one of these little low hanging things, and she danced away, and she had rollers and curlers in her hair underneath her wig. She looked great before her wig came off, and so I was playing trumpet, man. I'm telling you. I couldn't finish that song. I was laughing so hard. You cannot laugh and play the trumpet at the same time. I can tell you that. So I can relate to this story very well for being a musician. And I can relate to the other story too, them hiring musicians to play baseball. Yeah, because in high school, I was a drum major in the marching band, and I also played on the baseball team. So just imagine that. Okay. All right. So we're going to go to March 3rd, 1946. Is everybody still with me? All right, I'm still. Hey, if you come in, let me know where you're joining from, and be sure and hit that subscribe button. I pick up one or two a night, so it's gonna be hard to get to 700 with one or two a night, man, because I'd have to come in there. So please help me by sharing. Okay, so March 3rd, 1946, Jackie Robinson still did not take part in the Dodgers workout in Daytona Beach, Florida, at Sanford Park. His airplane from the West Coast was grounded twice, so he's not there. It was grounded once in New Orleans and another time in Pensacola. And so he is on his way there, and he's expected tomorrow, which is going to be March 4th. So I'm going to report that tomorrow, okay? And he's there with his wife of 3 weeks. That's Rachel. She's traveling with him. And guess what? I looked in all these articles. They were talking about Jackie Robinson. But how about this? They never mentioned John Wright at all, but he's there, John Wright. So Jackie was getting all the attention. John Wright wasn't getting much. So, but they didn't want to bring up one black player, and have him here by himself. So they wanted to have two black players. And you're correct. Rachel is still with us. That is correct. That is amazing as well. And somebody is joining from California. California, man, I love coming out there. I don't know when I'm going to get back out to California again to actually present. I've presented out there many times, and I have a great boxing book that I've been working on related to the Olympic Auditorium, which is now the Korean church there. So in Los Angeles, yeah. So anyway, I know a lot about Los Angeles, but I'm a Kansas City by residence, and so anyway, yeah. So Rachel is still with us. I've never had a chance to meet Rachel. That's one thing. Now I've written to her, and also I actually wrote to Ruby Dee too, who played Jackie Robinson's wife in the movie back the first original Jackie Robinson movie, and I used some of those comments in my book, The Negro Baseball Leagues: A Photographic History. Somebody said today. Ray Dandridge was elected to the Hall of Fame. Yes, I did see that, and I knew Ray Dandridge. So yeah, I had a chance to talk with Ray, and I do his somewhere around here. I have his autograph too. So yeah, Ray Dandridge. Yeah, he was a great third baseman. Now, when I think of the great third baseman in the Negro Leagues, and I know I saw that post of Ray Dandridge, and they called him the greatest third baseman in the Negro Leagues. Man, that's saying something, especially when you can't leave out Bill Monroe, man. I'm telling you, Dave Malasher, can New Joseph, man, of Kansas City, can't leave him out. Oliver Ghost Marcel, can't leave him out. Man, I can think of some really good ones. And Ray Dandridge, just to be compared with any of those guys, meant that you played some hell of a good ball, right? And Ray Dandridge could rake, man. I'm telling you, he could hit. He could hit. I've done some things on him before as well. So Ray Dandridge, yeah, appreciate that. That was an important thing to know today. All right. So we got Jackie Robinson, and then we have a March 3rd, 1960, Tom Allen, Toussaint L. Overture Allen, a former member of Hilldale and other teams, died in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I tell you what, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is an important city for black baseball history. And if you want to go back, it just depends on how far back you want to go. Um, you can't leave out Philadelphia. So with the Hilldale team, the Philadelphia Pythian team, the Philadelphia Stars, and just Philadelphia is a great baseball town historically. Somebody said today in 1998, Larry Doby's elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame as well. I interviewed Larry Doby as well. Man, I tell you, you're right up, you're hitting right up my alley there. Yeah, Larry Doby. Yeah, got a chance to meet him at Kansas City Royals Old Timers game, and that was the game when they I had put it together with Joe Black and Joe Garagiola. You probably remember though, and they worked with me real. I have a nice letter from Joe thanking me that he sent to Ewan Kaufman, telling me what a great job I did in getting all these guys together. And that became the first modern day Negro League reunion. We did this in Kansas City. I think it was 1989 maybe. And so Joe Black and Joe Garagiola really helped me. They were with the Equitable Old Timers at that particular time. And so, yeah, they came to Kansas City. Man, we had Lou Boudreau was here, and Ernie Banks, and Hank Aaron, and oh man, we had a good time in Kansas City. And that is when Larry Doby came, and so I do have a picture of Larry Doby somewhere. Maybe if I can find a copy of it, maybe I'll post it tonight in my little follow up when I share my broadcast. Yeah, Tom Allen, that's his name. Yeah. So guys, it's always my pleasure to come in and talk about these sports and these great history. It seems like I'm forgetting something else that happened on this day, and I can't think of what it is, but that's okay. I can come back tomorrow and mention it again, right? So I appreciate it, and thank you for being a fan of my work. I don't have a book right here. Yeah, I do have one book I can show you. This is the book. If you want to know about a great all-around baseball player, Wilbur Bullet Rogan, this is a good one here to have. And Wilbur Bullet Rogan and the Kansas City Monarchs. It'll tell you more about the Kansas City Monarchs than any book you can read anywhere, right? And I think probably I have interviewed more Kansas City Monarchs players and their families than anyone, because I would get in my car. Back in 1980, 81, I had a Subaru, man. I would get in that car, had great gas mileage. And man, I go to St. Louis, I'd be down there talking to Coop Papa, and then next week I go to Oklahoma, and maybe I go to Wichita, talk to Bob Boyd and Bob Thurman. They live right across the street from each other. Man, that made that easy. And then I would always stop at the baseball card shops. If you're ever in Denver, if you ever, I'm gonna tell you what, if you want quality baseball cards, I'm gonna tell you a guy who's a really good guy. His name is Bill Visas. I met Bill when I was like 20 years old, and Bill and I were two of the people who helped start the Colorado Sports Collectors Club. This was back in 1970, 78, 79. But Bill has the number one sports collector store in Colorado, and he's had it for at least 40 years. And that's Bill Visas. And he's in Denver. And if you ever want anything related to the Broncos or you're looking for a special card, call Bill and then say, Bill, do you have this card? And he may have 5 or 6 of them, and he'll give you good prices, and you can go from there. Bill Visas. And if you're ever in Colorado, man, go see Bill's Collectibles, Bill's Sports Collectibles. He's not too far from the stadium if you get to Denver. So anyway, guys, that's my little tip for today. And so if you like this kind of broadcast, guys, come on and just hit that subscription button or help me out. Share the broadcast. That would be somebody put cool. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, I would put that. And one of these days I'm gonna do some something different. But I was just looking here and looking at some of the things. So today you had a chance to learn about this team that's looking for musicians who also play instruments. Man, I'm telling you, I got to figure out who that is. I think it's the Browns Tennessee Rats, but I don't know about this Esterville, Iowa connection. I'm going to have to, I've got work to do, and this work has never stopped for 46 years. I just got to keep on researching. So, anyways, guys, unless someone has a question or whatever, somebody says, always wondered, are you a card collector? Let me tell you this. I would tell you one thing. Um, I started collecting cards when baseball. Actually, the first cards I collected were Beatles cards, and that was back in 1964. I was in the second grade, and I would go to the store for people in my community. There was a lady named Miss Davis who really put the most money in my pocket, and she was a lady, and she lived in an apartment. And Miss Davis would send me to the store to get skim milk and snuff, and she called ahead and tell him that Dixon's coming and let him have my snuff. And so, because kid couldn't buy snuff, right? So anyway, so I would buy it for her. And she would give me a nickel, dime, quarter. If I had to go a little further, she'd give me a quarter. If I had to carry back a lot of stuff, she'd throw in 15 cents or something like that. And that's how I got my baseball cards. But I started off with Beatles cards. I took those to school to show some kids. And would you believe it? The teacher took my Beatles cards. And so when I went back to the store, the only thing left was those stupid baseball cards. Hey, so I started buying them, and I kept buying them. And by the time I was probably about 19 years old, I had about 100,000 baseball cards. And I would go places, and people had never seen a black kid with that many baseball cards. And so I would come in, and I knew the history and everything, right? And I would go when they started having card shows. I was like one of the first people going to these card shows when they started back in the 70s. I was there, 74, 73. I was there. And so I would go to these card shows, and these old white guys would look at me and they say, hey, where'd you get all those cards? I said, the same place you got yours from, the store. But they thought it was strange, guys. But you know what? I got my baseball history legitimately, right? And from the very first time I saw someone throwing a baseball, and I would watch kids hit the baseball off the school playground, I wanted to do that. And so I really fell in love with baseball, and here I am. That was at that time I'm in the second grade, and here I am, man. I'm 1 year from 70, and I am still enthralled with baseball. And hey, one of these days I'll pull out a few cards and show you some things that you might find fascinating, right? So anyway, and I didn't just collect baseball cards, man. I used to love the whole Batman series. The black they had a black one and a red one and a blue bat. I have all man. I was really into it. And there's a book called the Baseball. I think I have it on my shelf. Baseball Card Collectors or something like that. It was the first ever book put out related to the hobby of collecting, and my name is in there. Yeah, my name is in there. So, and that was like 1977 or 78, guys. So, oh yeah, I definitely am the real deal when it comes to a lot of things, and especially on this topic of the Negro baseball leagues. It's tough to beat me. Now, there might be some people who have a little more publicity and maybe a larger name, but when it comes to facts and knowledge, boy, I'll put you to shame in a hurry because I lived this life. All right. So I love my 1988 cars. Cool. Your name is on there. Okay. That must be the Ted Williams card set. No, that was 1992. I had a set that I produced. The first black person to ever produce a set of baseball cards was myself in 1987. Dixon's Negro League Greats, guys. And they've held their value, right? So anyway, I could go on and on. I've been trying to keep these broadcasts down to 20 minutes, and for the last 2 days, I've gone 30 minutes. I don't know how that's happening, but anyway, guys, we're gonna go ahead and cut this one down, because I gotta come back tomorrow, right? So I'm going here, and I gotta go downstairs and do a little trumpet playing, and because when I go out to speak, I always bring my trumpet along, and we're gonna take me out to the ball game, and I'm hoping to do a few more national anthems this year around the park. So you gotta always practice and make sure it's kind of like a baseball player. You got to go out and take batting practice as often as you can to stay sharp. All right, guys. So thank you for all your support and for everybody who stayed in here tonight. Oh, man, I appreciate you so much. I tip my hat to you, right? And guys, we'll come back and we'll do it again. Get your questions ready. And one of these days, if we have enough people to do this, I will come in and then let you ask questions, and I will give you 1 minute answers to each one of those questions, right? And I won't do any of this day in Black baseball history. It'll be, give me your question, and I'll let you know what time I'm coming on, so you can get your question ready, and maybe we can do something like that, and see if you can kind of stump me a little bit. All right, stump the chump. How about that? So anyway, you guys take it easy, and I'll see you real soon. Thanks for joining me this evening. And this has been Phil Dixon's This Day in Black Baseball History, the March 3rd, 2026 edition. Bye.